All right, Christine, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So let's start off with an introduction in your own words. Who is Christine?
I am half Mexican, half Guatemalan. My dad's from Guatemala. My mom's side is Mexicana, which goes back to my great grandmother. And I was born in the US. I am a mom of two boys. I currently 3-year old and 5-year old. And I married my college boyfriend, and we've been together for a long time. When I think of the number, it makes me feel old. I joined a sorority in college. I'm a sister of Chi Epsilon Sigma National Latina Sorority Incorporated. And career wise, I'm a nurse turned life coach. I'm very family oriented and I love going to the beach and taking trips and the Philadelphia Eagles.
I love it. And we're definitely going to get more into your story because I know that you became a life coach recently. But I always like starting off with every guest that comes on to talk about childhood, adolescent. Were there any major things that happened that made you the woman that you are today?
Yeah, I feel like every experience had an effect on how I am now. But I did have a really good childhood. My parents really did everything they could so that we could have an awesome childhood. We got to celebrate our birthdays and we took the trip to Disney, and they just really made sure that we didn't see the stressors that they were going through and just tried to provide and make sure that we had a good childhood. We did move often. So by fifth grade, I was in my fifth home. Looking back on that, reflecting on that, that probably affected me. I think it's why I am open to talking to new people. I like interacting with people because I had to completely make new friends over and over and over. I'd have a best friend and then leave, and then have to create a new friend and leave. And I think going through all of that, the closeness of my family, of us four, it's my parents and my younger brother, but also my extended family, is what allowed me to feel so good in all the change because they were still my constant. And I really attribute them to my foundation now. And the reason why I have such a solid foundation and I can pour back into other people is because of my family.
Do you think that the constant moving around as a kid, were there any negative things that you can associate? Maybe you felt like you couldn't settle in one place for too long, or maybe you felt like you couldn't really get that friendship that you were looking for. Like, was there anything negative that you think came from that?
I do think that because of that constant on the go, right now, what I'm seeing in my adulthood life with it is the fact that I'm always seeking the next thing. And I have to really remind myself to enjoy where I'm at now. Even when I bought my first house, I used to live in Reading, Pennsylvania. When I bought that home, the plan was never to stay there. So I feel like I didn't enjoy it. I didn't really make it my home. It was like, well, yeah, I'm here now. And that was awesome. I bought my first house at 23 years old. I didn't.
Congratulations, that's major.
Thank you. But yet I was always like, okay, but what's next? And I think it really was because of the constant movement growing up. It was always on to the next. So that mindset was still there. What's next? What's next? So now I'm really trying to say, okay, sure, I have other goals. I want to keep moving forward, but I'm also going to enjoy my now. And I'm really trying to absorb that and do that now.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up because that's something I've definitely experienced in being a new business owner. And I'm sure a lot of listeners and people can feel the same way, especially when you're in the beginning. Like, you never, I don't want to say everyone, but a lot of people tend to not celebrate the wins. Like, they're always looking for what's next, what's next. And you can get lost in that feeling and just feel like you're always constantly trying to find something better, but you should celebrate where you are right now. Like, thinking back to the woman that I was last year compared to where I am now, I might not be exactly where I want to be, but I've changed so much. And for that, I need to celebrate. And like you said, I think it's important to celebrate those wins.
And we need to remind each other of that. I think we know that and we'll do it from time to time, but then we get caught up in the craziness and all these stressors and goals and day to day life. And so it's like we have to often remind ourselves of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you working with clients, you're a life coach, you've dealt with people who've had those same feelings. But I would love for you to talk about that coaching business and why did you start it? What's your purpose behind it? What did that journey look like for you to say, I want to become a coach?
I can honestly say I never imagined it. I didn't think I'd ever be here. I mentioned that I am a nurse, I'm an RN. So growing up, I didn't really have these aspiring dreams to be anything. I didn't know what I wanted to be. You're in high school, 11th grade or 10th grade, and you have to decide what you're going to go to college and be. And I was good at math and science. I had an older cousin who was an RN. I asked her if she liked it. She said, yeah. So that's what I went with. And I moved forward. I got my bachelor's degree. I really went with it because I was like, I can get a job in nursing. I'd be able to get a job. That's where my mindset was. So I got the job, graduated. I went on, got my master's in nursing. I was a nurse manager at one point. I became a director of quality at a hospital. So I'm moving up. And I kept saying, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm doing all these things, and people, and I would jokingly say that, like, yeah, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But really, what I realized was I didn't want to be that. I thought it was it. And I felt like I was accomplishing things and it was impactful and it was important. But yet I kept saying, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
There was like something missing for you.
Yes, like I should have been on top of the world. I made it. I'm doing all these things, but it wasn't quite it. And then we decided to move to Florida at the end of 2020. During that transition, I had some time off. I let go of my other job and I was going to start up a new.
You moved during the pandemic?
Mhm.
Oh my God, you're fucking insane. How was that?
It was crazy. Me and my husband decided to move in the middle of the pandemic with our then not even 1-year-old and 3-year-old. It
Lord.
was insanity. But the market was going up, right? So the
Yeah.
housing prices were up. So we're like, wow, we could, because for a minute we thought we were going to lose money on the house.
Hmm.
And so when the market started going up, we thought we have to pull the trigger. Let's get out of the house. And we actually were able to make a little bit of profit and save that for the next home. So
Yeah.
we pulled the trigger and we moved in September of 2020.
That was right in the prime.
Yeah. Got COVID on the way down, literally.
Oh, wow. Because why not?
Yes, add that to the mix. Anyway, during that time, though, I had a break. I had a month and a half off between jobs, and we don't get those kinds of breaks often. I wish people got to have that once in a blue moon because, oh my gosh, it was amazing. So I was just thinking a lot. I had extra time. I'd go out for a run and listen to audiobooks, and I created the idea to make Life's Risk Management the blog site, which would be helpful articles so that people can feel calm, confident, and competent to tackle all that life is throwing our way. And what I did was incorporate the tools that I learned from the quality industry with a little bit of mindset and kind of weave them together and started posting. I created this blog site, I created my IG account, and I didn't know what it was at that point. I just started creating and putting things out there, trying to help people because life is stressful and hard and we don't learn about how to handle all the things that are thrown at us. So I wanted to help and provide tools any way I could. And then once I started doing that, people would reach out. I got great feedback, but it made me realize that I wanted to connect with them a little bit deeper rather than just, here's my article, read it, and then that's the end of it. And so your sister, I got a free one-on-one call with her that I think I like won by doing something, I don't know. It was like a 15-minute call. And in that 15-minute call, she was just basically like, just start offering your services. Just do it. Start,
Mhm.
offer it. So I did. So in August of 2021, I started offering just one-off sessions I called it consulting sessions because I still didn't feel comfortable being a life coach. And then it progressed. In the beginning of this year, I did a group program called the Adulting Mastermind. And then I took on long-term clients this year as well. And it's been amazing.
Yes, congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
I love seeing your journey. You're out here killing it. I know we were both on the mastermind call yesterday with my sister, and she had a slide dedicated to you talking about your story. And I really wanted to highlight the fact that you struggled with the title of calling yourself a coach. So talk about that a little bit more and how were you able to like switch your mindset to own that title? Because it's hard. It's hard as fuck for especially new entrepreneurs and business owners to like, I'm not a coach. Like, what the, how did you do it? Give your
Yeah.
advice, give your feedback.
And so much struggle that I just changed my Instagram handle
I
to
saw that.
like
Yes.
15, like 2 days ago because I still was having the struggle. So it's not like it's over. I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there. It's a constant struggle or reminder that I have to give myself. I think what got me to go forward is I know that I enjoy helping people. It's what I've done. That's why I went into nursing because I want to help. Throughout my nursing career, I loved being able to guide new nurses, guide them through and be a resource, be a sounding board, all those kinds of things. So I have experience, even honestly in my family. My one cousin joked when I told him I was going to be a life coach. He was like, oh, so you're going to do what you do for the family, but start charging people for it.
Right.
Like, it's just how I've always been. I care about people. I feel like I'm really empathetic. Plus, I love the strategy and trying to figure things out. Every situation is so different. So I use those like critical thinking skills that I have built and all of that and combined it. So reminding myself that I have the experience. I am doing something that other women want. Wasn't like I was doing it and forcing it down anybody's throat kind of thing. Like I thought, let me just see what happens. So that when I first put it out there, the interactions that I had and the feedback that I got, that's what it was. That's what really filled me up and said, oh no, I have to do this because I can see how it can be beneficial. It can help. And I want to see people grow. I want to see people happy. And so knowing that I had the ability to have a little bit of an impact to make someone's life happier, I had to just get over myself and my fear, embarrassment almost, like
Mm.
people are going to be like, who the hell is she? I was afraid that everybody was going to be judgmental because I've grown up judgmental. I've been judgmental. So when you start to get fearful that other people are going to be judgmental of you, take a step back and see who you're judging. And
Mm.
that's seriously what it is. Because the moment that I decided there's no need for this judgment, I'm just going to be, so I'm no longer going to judge others and I'm going to move how I want to move. I don't care about that judgment because you really realize that I know what I'm doing is for the good. And if other people don't like it, that's okay. And I hope that they feel better. And I hope that their life improves with or without me.
That is so powerful. And like our life coach, Erica Kramer, shout out to her. Fuck what others think. Hashtag FWOT. As long as you are doing something that's, like you said, filling your cup up and lighting you up, and you know you're coming from a genuine place, you're not going to be for everybody, and you shouldn't want to be for everybody. Keep your coaching hat on and give me some more. So you said earlier that you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a worker, you do all the things. And life be lifing, right? When those moments of life and challenge come up, I'm sure they have, how do you deal with that stress so you don't fucking lose your mind?
Because believe me, there's plenty of times where I think I'm going to, especially toddlers.
Yes, that too.
Mm. So I think when you're dealing with a lot, it is important to create somewhat of a plan. I am a planner. I maintain a planner. I like lists. I keep an ongoing to-do list on my phone so that I don't have to keep anything up here because it won't stay.
What's your zodiac sign?
Scorpio.
Scorpio, okay.
My
My
birthday
parents are
is
both
on
Scorpios.
Sunday.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Thank you. Oh, that's cool. That's probably intense.
Oh, girl, that's another podcast for another day. Anyway, continue. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll keep those lists, the to-do list. I love all that, but I also do not hold myself completely to it. So it's a good thing to get my thoughts organized so that I can go ahead and accomplish some things, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't meet everything on that list or if I had a plan for the day and I don't get to it. It is what it is. So you have to be able to be flexible with that. But at least starting with that as a base and then going off of that. And I think finding what you need in that moment. If it's just chilling out, resting, you have to listen to that and rest.
Yeah.
Things will be okay. Don't try to fit perfection. Like things don't have to be perfect. And that goes back to the FWOT, fuck what other people think, because who cares if it's not perfect? Do you really care or do you care what everybody else is going to think? Because I feel like we add a lot of extra stress on our plates because of, well, I have to get my kids perfect and ready for school because what is their teacher going to think? I have to have my holiday decor beautiful because what are the neighbors going to think? Who cares? Do what you want to do and then go from there. Like if it's something that you do care about, sure, make it a priority, make it an effort, add that to your list. But if it's things that you don't care about, get them off. And delegation. I'm really big on that too. So whatever you can delegate, you don't have to do this alone. And I think if you're trying to do it all on your own, that's when the stress and burnout really comes into play.
Yep.
So whatever you can delegate to family members and maybe not the word delegate, but like accept the help.
Right.
Sometimes it's delegation and sometimes there's people more than willing. You don't have to delegate, just accept the help if it's there.
Outsource. Let's say outsource.
I feel like people are like, delegate sounds,
Yeah. Yeah.
demanding, which go ahead, be demanding. I delegate. I'm not going to shy away from that, but
No, absolutely. I love that you said that last part, especially because me personally, I'm a fucking control freak. Like, I own it. I know who the fuck I am, and I like things done my way. But you can only do that for so long until you reach the point of burnout. Like, in the beginning, when I first started my podcast, I was like, I need to be the social media manager. I need to be the podcast editor. I need to do all the fucking things, to the point that I burnt myself out and I caught pneumonia. And then I had to sit the fuck down because God was like, you're doing too much. It got to the point that like now my health is being affected. We gotta, loosen the strains a little bit. And, I outsource podcast editing. I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. Eventually I would like to hire someone to do the social media for me, because that's a whole nother full-time job. But, sometimes life is just gonna sit you the fuck down and be like, okay, you're doing too much. Sit down, relax, let's think of a better plan, and then execute and move forward.
And it's like you're being forced to slow down because you're not going to do it otherwise.
Yep. So some other feelings that have come up for me, and I'm sure for you and others who are listening, especially new entrepreneur, business owners, whatever it is that you're doing: scarcity mindset, imposter syndrome, lack of confidence. Have you had any of those feelings, and how have you maneuvered through them when they come up?
I think it happens. It's not even like a once and done thing. It's constant. We're always working through it. And I do try to guide my clients to build their confidence and really feel firm in decision-making skills. And those are things that we work on. And they look at me and they're like, I can't just be like you, confident. Well, I'm not just confident. I'm not just doing the thing and I don't have other feelings going on. It's just that I keep going anyway. I'm literally nervous and scared and I'll still do it. That's what it is. That's key. It's not like we eliminate it and there's a magic fix to get rid of it. It's that you feel it and keep going. So I think that's really the key. And I know that people might think, well, it's not that easy. Like, how am I supposed to just keep going? So you have to figure out what it is that you need. So sometimes it's talking to other people who are in similar situations or who are going to hold you accountable and push you through it, pull you through that so that you can keep going. Or if that's not the way that's going to work for you, maybe it is just journaling out those feelings so that you give yourself an opportunity to feel them, release them, and then move forward. So try different things, see what works for you. But nobody's doing it without this feeling of the scarcity mindset, lack of confidence, imposter syndrome. Everybody has that. It's just figuring out a way that we can go forward even with them.
And don't fall into this comparison trap of what you see online, because people love to post all the wins and the highlight reels and, oh, I'm living my best life. You don't know what the fuck is going on behind the scenes. You don't know what it took to get to that point. So that's something that I need to tell myself all the time, because you can fall victim to comparing your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 32. You don't know what's happening behind closed doors.
And I challenge anybody out there, like, if you do find yourself doing that comparison and like, oh, but look at all that they've done, what it needs to stop to do is write down all that you've done. Going back to that, celebrating your own wins.
Yes.
So as soon as you catch yourself looking at somebody else and all that they've accomplished, stop and turn back to yourself and make your own personal list of all that you've accomplished, because you're going to be pleasantly surprised, because we don't take enough time to stop and really reflect on what we've done. Look at what you've done in this past week. Probably a shit ton. You've done a lot. You're awesome. You're doing it. But don't waste your energy on that comparison syndrome, Bring it back, pull it back, and put it onto yourself, because that's going to be beneficial.
Always look in the mirror. Like we said earlier, fuck everybody else. So worry about you.
Exactly.
It's hard to do, but it takes practice. It takes working with other people and other coaches and putting it into practice every single day. And there's going to be days where you feel sad or you don't feel your best self. That's fine. Don't stay in that moment. If you need to live in that space for a little bit, do that. But then what? Like, let's move on. So I know you're super big about worth and being worthy. Let's start off with, what does being worthy or having worth mean to you?
I would say being worthy is really feeling like you deserve all that you desire. I think that's so important, that you deserve what you desire and you deserve to be there. Wherever there is, you are more than deserving to be there. So stand firm and proud in your spot, in your position, in your environment, whatever it is that you're feeling a little bit like, is this not for me? That imposter syndrome is creeping up. Being able to really feel like, I absolutely deserve this and I should be here. That's when you realize your worth and that you're worthy. People not feeling worthy of being where they want to be is why I'm a life coach. It makes me so sad to hear women talk about how they don't feel like they belong in certain situations.
What would you tell them? Like, say I'm one of your clients and I have like zero self-worth. I have zero confidence. What's something that you would say to try to shift my mindset into having this sense of worth?
So I think if it's to the point where, you're just really down, really not feeling worthy, it's digging into where's that stemming from, because there's probably something else there and it's not the superficial situation that we're talking about. So like if it's a job and you don't feel like you belong in that job, it's probably nothing to do with your job. And I think for those who don't have a coach or you're not working with somebody, then the way you dig deep is by journaling on it. So really identify the situations where you're not feeling worthy, pick them out throughout your day, whenever you're not feeling comfortable. Like I went to my kid's birthday party and I didn't feel comfortable around the parents, or I went to the club and I didn't feel comfortable there, or whatever it is, wherever you're at, and see where you're not feeling good. And then you write that down. Start with that situation, figure out what you were feeling, and then keep going. When were other times that I felt that way? Besides being at the football game or whatever it is, when have I also felt that way? And then as you start to realize that it's happened before and there might be really a deeper area that's causing this, that's when the healing can start. You just take ownership of it. Like, oh, wait a minute. I get where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So next time it comes up, that's not going to scare me. And I'm going to still stand firm in my own shoes because I get it now. I know where it's coming from. It has nothing to do with them. It was just maybe previous experiences or whatever. And it gives you that empowerment to still do it anyway, going back to when you still feel that imposter syndrome, but you move forward because you kind of understand it a little bit better. That would be one place to start.
I think self-awareness is super powerful. It's a muscle that needs to be built. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but just being self-aware and writing it down, I think it's super powerful too, because you can probably see a pattern and then you can start to work through, okay, maybe it's around this certain type of people or this environment that's triggering me. Maybe there's something about the situation or about me that I need to work on in order to build up my confidence. So I love those tools. I love it. Let's dig a little bit deep about you. What would you say is probably the most important thing about you that you've learned about yourself this year?
I was journaling not that long ago, probably a couple of nights ago. And that's why writing it down is so important, because even though you think you're like, well, no, I know what I know and I know why I'm doing certain things and I know what's in my head, it's so much different when you write it down. So I was journaling and I had this aha moment. I was actually listening to the audiobook Daring Greatly, I think it's called, by Brene Brown. And she was talking all about vulnerability. Then I started journaling about it and I was like, wow, I'm a very controlling person. We touched on that a little bit, how you can be controlling and it sometimes can be detrimental. I'm very controlling. It's something I'm actively working on. And I realized that I control all that I can to avoid vulnerability. And that was
That's
mind-blowing.
deep. That's deep.
Right?
Yeah. That,
Oh,
yeah. It's like, oh my God, I just peeled a new onion layer, like
yeah.
Erica says. Wow.
No, I was like, wait, what? And I was writing it. I wasn't even computing it. I wrote it down and I had to read it back like, oh my
Mm,
God, yes, I do. So now I have to sit on that. But that's helpful. Self-awareness.
yes.
It was a good thing to learn, but that was a very
Profound
mind-blowing.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy to be vulnerable, like we said, but I think in those moments of peeling back those layers, we can uncover new areas of ourselves that we don't even know. And I think it's a beautiful process to be able to get to know a new version of us and see what happens from that. So thank you for sharing that. All right. So, what would you say, this is part one, is your superpower?
My superpower is staying calm in extremely stressful situations. If I have the safety and wiggle room to be dramatic, I will. But I mean, when it's like, no, you have to like keep it together, I absolutely can. It can be the most chaotic thing and deep breaths. My heart might be racing, but we're going to manage this. We're going to take care of it. And I'm going to make sure that everybody else comes down on this level as best as I can. So I really feel like that's my superpower.
That's that mom.
Yeah.
Making sure everyone's okay. So, what would you say is something about yourself that needs some improvement or some working on that could be better?
Definitely the control freak in me. And I feel like I've been working on it. I'm getting better. It's just so hard. It's so hard.
Especially if it's something that you've done like your entire life. Like I've been a fucking control freak for 34 years of my life. It's not going to
Same.
change overnight. But back to that self-awareness that we talked about, small actionable steps every single day.
And that's how I've been doing it, is like little things like, do I have to control this right now? I don't. So I'm going to let that one go. And it's like building up on each other, just letting each little thing go and realizing that that's not that important. Whatever it is that I'm trying to control is actually not that important. So if it doesn't go the way that I want it to, it's okay.
Yep. That's letting go of control right there. I love
And
that.
it frees up that energy then again to put towards other things. Like I'm wasting energy on making sure everything's lined up, ready to go for the morning. Like hubby's got it. It'll work.
Right.
I
love that.
Myself.
Yes. Perfect segue to my next question. What does self-care look like for you?
I think like the basic stuff is really important. So I'm a nurse. So I'm like, drink your water, take your vitamins. And I'm not kidding. I really think those are important for my self-care. I feel better. I have more energy, getting good sleep. I can't do it every night, but make sure you squeeze in that solid night of sleep every so often, like more than every so often if you can. But I get it. We're busy. But really prioritizing those little things, movement, exercise, all of that. But then the other piece of it is really working on your mindset. So I talk about how I love journaling. I meditate regularly. I do my affirmations and just trying to really take care of my mindset. And then the last thing I would say is finding out what you need to fill your cup in that moment. Do I need a girls' night? Am I really itching for getting out of the house and hanging out with the girls? Do I need a date night and I just really want to play video games with my husband or something? Do I need extra snuggles with my kids? Whatever it is that I need in that moment to fill my cup, like go after it and make sure you incorporate it.
Meditating is something that I've tried and I need to quiet my mind because I always tend to like drift off and start thinking about, oh, I need to do this or, oh, I should have said that to that person that time. You know what I mean? But like we said earlier, small actionable steps every single day. But when I really do focus on that quietness and that stillness, it's so fucking powerful.
And I think it's always important to say that meditation is a practice.
Yes.
So we have to just keep practicing it. My mind still wanders. It's not like I'm sitting there in complete zen and nothing's affecting me. No, like I absolutely start to think of to-do lists or whatever. Like I start thinking of things and then you just bring it back. And that's the guided ones are really helpful because they'll remind you.
I love me a guided one. Yes. Yeah.
So just stick with that 5-10 minutes a day and not caring if you screw up because it's not you screwing up. It's not. It's still beneficial. Even if you sit there, do it for a little bit and your mind wanders and you like bring it back every so often, that whole process is still beneficial. You're not screwing anything up. You're only benefiting yourself.
Yeah, I remember focus on the breath. We bring it back to the breath. I'm like, okay, let me focus on breathing. All right, so now I'm going to ask you the same questions that I ask every single guest that comes on the show. Number one, what has been one of the hardest lessons that you've learned as an adult?
Once I grew up, I kind of had this epiphany that, wait, so nobody knew really what they were doing, right? Like,
there's no like book for life to guide us.
Like adulting is hard and we're not really taught how to handle this.
No, and it's ghetto.
I remember looking at adults when I was younger, like they have to have it all figured out, right? They have more, it makes more sense and I just don't understand it. No, it doesn't make sense. It's not that I didn't understand it. It's that it's not really what you imagine. I think we had higher expectations as kids for what adulting would be and like found out it's not it.
It's like, damn, I really got to pay bills for the rest of my fucking life. This is ghetto.
I know.
0 stars, do not recommend.
Mm-mm.
I love that. That's the first time someone has answered that question that way. And it's like probably the most relatable answer. Like, there is no guidebook. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. But like we said before, we're still doing it. And we're still here and breathing. We're making it fucking work.
It's how it is in a lot of areas. You
Yes.
know, like you look at something and you're like, wow, it's amazing. It's all put together and da da. Da." No, I honestly felt the same way in nursing. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse. What a respectable position. And then I graduated and I'm like, why does everybody think me as a new grad is the most experienced nurse and nobody knows what they're doing? What is happening
Mhm.
here? And that's adulting.
That had to be a mind fuck for you. Like, holy shit.
Uh,
All right. So you're on the Watch Us Thrive podcast. So I want to know, what is your definition of thriving?
Thriving is having those moments, feelings of just pure joy and happiness often,
Hmm.
not always, because it's never going to be always. But when you get to have those moments a lot, that's where I want to be. Like that to me, that's thriving, that's success. And it could be over the most tiny little things, it could be over the beautiful sky and your kids laugh and you're able to fill up with joy with just that one little thing. That's thriving to me.
I love that answer. And I love that you said often, not always. I think that's super powerful because
Yes.
anyone who's out here like jolly 24/7, 365, that's just a fucking facade. They probably need therapy and they're going through some shit. They're definitely hiding
And
from
they're going to break
reality.
any minute now.
Yes, and they're going to break and crack. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's go back to baby Christine, little girl Christine. Being the woman that you are today, what is one piece of advice you would tell her?
Okay, I mentioned that I'm a Scorpio. So when I was younger, I would just get full of fire easily, I feel like.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I would just tell her to enjoy it. Like none of it is serious. Just chill out. I feel like I always wanted to go after the next thing or grow up too fast almost. I started working at 13 years old.
Hmm.
I feel like I would have said, don't. Like,
Yeah.
just enjoy the simple life. You got plenty of time to feel like you have to be so responsible.
Yeah, I started working when I was 14. My first job was being a cashier at a supermarket,
Mm.
and it's just been downhill since. Now I have an amazing job working for my sister, but that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
All right, so you said earlier that you're all about affirmations and mantras. So give me a good one. What's one that you practice every single day and why?
To be honest, I don't think I have the same one. They change. They really do because it's what I need in that
Mm.
moment.
So what season are you in right now?
I'm in the hunt a little bit for a different job, different role. So the industry right now is pretty tough, especially because I have very specific requirements for what I want. So as I'm putting myself out there, I need to maintain this, confidence and drive because it's a grind. So to be able to maintain that, I affirm that I am a skilled, talented team player and any company would be lucky to have me. That's one little thing. And that's how specific I get usually when I do my affirmations. And then another basic one that I like to do is just I think Mel Robbins does this hands on your chest and I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm loved. Whenever I have anxiety, I can get anxiety where like chest pain and everything. So that's my go to for that. And like
Mm.
hands over the chest makes such a difference. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I love that. Breath work has been so powerful in my own personal healing journey because I do have anxiety too, and I was diagnosed with PTSD and I do have triggers. So, hand on the chest or on the stomach and just closing your eyes and saying, I am safe, I am loved, and breathing. That's super, super powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Christine, this conversation has been amazing. Thank you so much for blessing my audience with your presence. Please let them know how they can follow you. What are you working on? Plug in all of your social media so we can get more of your amazing energy.
I'm just so glad to chat with you, Leanne. I love chatting with you. Where can people find me? I'm mostly on Instagram. So, like I mentioned, I just changed my handle. So now you can find me at lifecoach.christine. I also have my blog site that's still available with a lot of helpful articles. So, my website is lifesriskmanagement.com. And what I'm doing right now is I'm offering one on one coaching. So if
Yes.
you're looking for a coach and you're ready to really start moving past those fears and going after what you want, I highly encourage you to look into life coaching, even if it's not me. I have a coach, I've had coaches for a while now, and it's life changing, truly.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to leave all your information in the episode show notes. I adore you. I'm so glad that we connected. Thanks to my sister, Manifiesta, which was fucking life changing in the beginning of the year.
Don't wait for it again.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the first of many, many conversations. And I'm just excited to see you continue to grow and flourish and own who you are. You're a life coach. Own that shit. I love it. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.